I always say there's no place like the mountains of Mourne, but I have to say the Glens of Antrim are a very close second. I'm joined now by Honorary Chair of New York, New Belfast, Maura Kelly of Purple Mountain Media, who is moderating our next conversation, A New Era for Tourism. Maura is joined by Alison Metcalf, Head of Tourism Ireland in North America, and Andrea Kieran, co-founder of the Regency Belfast. Over to you, Maura.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here, and this is going to be a very positive panel as well. We have a lot of good news and a lot of unique offerings. So tourism is making a comeback. It does contribute to the economy in revenue, in jobs, and it obviously builds the brand of Ireland worldwide, which is so important. But before we get into the topic of tourism, I just want to talk briefly about the 25th anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement and really talk about the significance it had on tourism in Northern Ireland. Alison?
Well, I think, Tourism Ireland is one of the great success stories coming out of the Good Friday Agreement. Tourism was called out under Strand 2 as an area for closer cooperation. So Tourism Ireland was established back in 1998, and the remit was very specifically to increase tourism to the island of Ireland, but very specifically to help Northern Ireland realise its potential. So it provided hope, it provided a framework, and I think what it has done is it has provided that opportunity for businesses to invest in tourism. You've seen tremendous investment in terms of hotels, attractions, experiences, Game of Thrones, you name it, there's major attractions there. And so the peace dividend for tourism has been massive. At this point in time, we continue to see great growth. There's lots more work to be done, but I think it's a new sense of confidence, and it's that confidence which I think you see in the room today and the businesses that are here, whether it's in tourism or tech or anything else. Tourism now is a big economic driver, and it employs 65,000 people in Northern Ireland.
Absolutely, and it is really proving to work. There's still a lot of work to be done, but it's really showing many, many dividends. And Andrea, you have been impacted by the Good Friday Agreement. You and your husband have an interesting story, so please share.
Yeah, I think honestly, the Good Friday Agreement changed the entire course of our lives. That is not an understatement. I met Anthony in 1998 in Washington, D.C., and he had been living in the States for a number of years, but he grew up in South Armagh, which is known as Bandit Country. And when he was 18 years old, he was, in a space of 24 hours, the victim of not one but two bombings. The second bombing killed a British soldier and completely demolished the car that Anthony was driving. He's lucky to be alive, to be honest. So Anthony left Northern Ireland after that, and he had no intention of ever going back. So when I got a phone call in 1998 from Anthony, very excitedly telling me about this Good Friday Agreement that I didn't really understand, but he said to me, "This is going to change everything." And for us, it actually did, because 3 years later, we moved to Belfast, and he met his business partner, Cecil Hetherington, whose father is actually an Orangeman, if you can believe that. They started a business called Used Cars NI, which is now the largest online marketplace for buying and selling cars. And the success of that business then allowed us to purchase these derelict buildings and create the Regency. So it really was a full circle experience for us. And fortunately, Anthony had the opportunity to talk to President Clinton and Senator Mitchell when they stayed with us for the 25th anniversary and tell them that story, which was quite amazing, actually.
That is amazing. It comes full circle, and it's great just to see that it is working, and now the reason you're thriving in Belfast is because that agreement's in place.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So good for you and good for Anthony, who's in the room. So that is great. So now let's dive into what's going on in tourism, because there is some good news. So 2022 was all about restarting, and this year's all about rebuilding. And it's not without its challenges, but there is some good news. So how is it shaping up, Alison, and what are the prospects for the USA market?
Well, it's shaping up incredibly well. I think, as I said last year, when we were just restarting, things really got started much quicker and much stronger. But as we headed into this year looks like a tremendous year. People are traveling in large numbers, but more importantly, they're staying longer and they're spending more. And I think, during the pandemic, people realized how important travel was to their daily lives. And whilst there are economic pressures out there, people are prioritizing expenditure on travel. So we're looking at a really strong year. We hope to get back to about 90% of our visitor numbers this year. Revenue-wise, and we're focusing on attracting those higher valued visitors, so those visitors that want to stay longer, spend more, travel into the regions, travel to Northern Ireland, and also are interested in traveling in the shoulder season and want to have a positive impact on the destination from a social, an environmental, and also an economic impact. It's not just about the economic impact. That's primary to make sure we have a sustainable business, but people that also want to feel that they are having a positive impact on communities. And I think in Northern Ireland, a lot of the experiences that you have an opportunity to enjoy are provided by locals that lean into different interests and passion points. So it's looking good. Air access is very good. The dollar is strong, so fingers crossed. Long may it continue, but we're certainly not complacent. It's pretty competitive out there.
No, it's very competitive, and I think you're doing very well. I think some of the other markets I looked at are not doing as well as the USA. So you are...
We have a strong brand, and I think that's really important. And building that long-term sustainable growth, right? Last year was about literally, as we say in the business, bums on seats, getting people to go, press the green button, travel now. This year, and as we head into 2025, it is about building that long-term brand and having that positive brand image for Ireland. So, and everybody, the industry then can row behind that, because the rest of Europe is open, South Pacific is open. People only have so many, vacation dollars, and they have a choice in where they travel.
It's very competitive, but I'm seeing Ireland up at the top of the list of many lists, and people are constantly asking me about Belfast. So I think Belfast is having a moment, tourism-wise, and it's sustaining. It's been around for a while. But let's quickly jump into, you mentioned some of the trends that are happening, and it's always good to know what do people want? What are trends? And I'm seeing the demand, there's a demand for high-end experiences.
That's right. A lot of people talk about luxury, and luxury means different things to different people. For some people, it is all about the five-star hotels, and there's many of those in Belfast and in Northern Ireland, but it really is about those custom, unique, bespoke, almost money can't buy experiences. And I think that's where you're seeing some great new developments, certainly in Belfast and across Northern Ireland. What Anthony and Andrea are offering in terms of accommodation, I think, is really unique. But opportunities to, for example, to do a taste and tour, experience of the local food experience, whiskey on the rocks experience at the Giant's Causeway, see the sunset come down, glamping, Finlock in just outside Enniskillen, different types of accommodation, lots of custom experiences, the Trad music trail in Belfast, where you can go around, with a custom guide and meet the locals, play in a music session, visit pubs along the way. So there's lots of custom experiences, and that's where Tourism Northern Ireland is doing an excellent job, and we work very closely with them in terms of bringing what they call Northern Ireland Experience with Giant Spirit, bringing that spirit to life. And one other example I sometimes call out is Glenshane Country Farm in the Sperrins. A shepherd called Jamesy. You can go and have a great experience there, spend a day as the life of a shepherd, or see what the sheepdogs are doing. Really unique experiences. People want to meet the locals, and they want to just get under the skin and feel they're immersed in a destination.
Yeah, I agree. And as you said, you said there's a reframing going on of luxury. And that is travel worldwide. It's different things to different people. But that's a trend, reframing luxury, the idea of it.
It is, and people want to get off the beaten track. And for some people, that reframing of having those custom experiences, and we know from some of our research recently that they do want to get off the beaten track. And places like Northern Ireland are called out, places like the Wild Atlantic Way are also called out. So it's reframing Belfast and reframing Northern Ireland to tell the world that these experiences are available there. You have them in Italy, you have them in France, you have them in other parts of Ireland, but Northern Ireland and Belfast also has them.
Absolutely. So now let's jump over to Andrea, who is not from Northern Ireland, by the way, in case you didn't notice. I think Virginia, is it?
Yes, that's right.
Virginia,
Yep.
and you've been in Belfast 22 years?
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah, and you're still
Long
there?
time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So we're going to talk about the Regency Belfast. It's described as a timeless collection of bespoke hosted residents. Now, you heard that George Mitchell and both Bill Clinton stayed there when they were there in April. Yep. So that is very, very, very cool. A lot of street cred on that.
Thank you.
But before we get into the unique offerings, and we have some photos up of the interior, but let's talk about, I've read it was a passion project for you and Anthony. And the buildings were kind of derelict. They were in a part of
very.
town that was people forgot.
Yes.
So what made you decide to purchase them and invest in real estate and high-end accommodations?
Yeah, so our office for used cars and I was only a couple of streets away from these beautiful Georgian terraced townhouses, most of which were derelict. And so sometimes we would park around there and we would look at the buildings and ask ourselves, why in the world nobody was buying these and renovating them? But if you look at London and Bath, these terraced townhouses are the jewel in the crown. I mean, they're the best part of the city. We just didn't understand it. So a couple of the buildings came on the market and we decided we were going to buy them and we were going to renovate them. And about 2 months in, we understood why people don't do this. It was without a doubt the hardest thing we ever did. We were new to this. We'd never renovated anything, so we were jumping in at the deep end for sure. So we had to make a lot of tough decisions along the way in terms of how far we were going to go with this renovation. And we were constantly being in a position of choosing the quick, easy, fast option or the right option. And it was really difficult, but we chose the right option, much to the horror of the builder when we told him we needed to build out all the fireplaces and he had to unblock them and reinstate them. You know, those were hard choices to make, but I think they were the right decisions for the building, and I think the results are incredible. So when we went through that renovation process, we realized we had something very, very special, and we wanted to share that with visitors to Belfast. We thought that this would be something really special to offer. Alison was talking about the experiences, and so we've designed this so that people can actually have the experience of actually feeling like you're living in this Georgian townhouse. We've created residences, so they're much bigger than a hotel room. They have living rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, working fireplaces. One of our residences has a private garden. You feel that it's your own home. But we've got staff there 24 hours a day to look after you and to help make sure that you see as much as possible of Belfast while you're there. So this has been a tremendous journey for us, but we're really
Yes,
proud
you might
of
be
the
doing
results.
more now if this is a success. But I know you're
Yeah.
redeveloping. You are actually
Yep.
putting more money into the area.
Yes, we are.
And there's a park nearby that needs
Yes.
some love, and you're going
Yes,
to
it does. Yes,
you're going
it
to fix.
does.
You're going to help the park, so you're helping the neighborhood. A lot of renovation, restoration going on to the area. So
Yes, that's
you see
right.
it as a worthwhile investment.
Yes,
Now,
we
I read somewhere that high-end accommodations in Belfast is kind of under the radar.
Yep.
That sector is under the radar, so yet to be discovered. Is that
Yeah.
could be an investment opportunity? So that sounds great. So if you want, just take a look at the pictures on the wall on the screen, and you'll see some of the unique features. But also, you talked about when George Mitchell was there and Bill Clinton, the whole privacy issue
Yes.
for them was really important
Yep.
to them, and how nobody knew they were there.
Yes, that's
Nobody
right.
knew they were there.
And I think this is one of the things about the Regency is that we are not open to the public. So at the moment, we have 5 residences, and we're going to expand next summer, so we'll add 6 more to that. But the only people in the property are our guests or people who are visiting our guests. And that worked really, really well for the Clinton Mitchell visit. And we were able to accommodate everything that they needed over this 1-week period they were with us. We had Bill Clinton conducting meetings up in his residence. We had George Mitchell being interviewed by a documentary film crew in the parlor. We have an image of the parlor up there. We had Mrs. Mitchell hosting a private lunch in our dining room. And we were able to do all of that in complete privacy. No one really knew any of that was going on, and so that's something we think is really special. The Regency works equally well for families that are traveling in groups who want to be together, but they need their own private space, and so we think we really have something that will work well for a number of different groups that are coming to Belfast.
Great, and it looks, if you look, you can go on the website and see the exteriors are gorgeous too.
Yes.
I definitely see a Bridgerton backdrop
Yes.
for that. So you need
Yeah.
to get in touch with the Screen Northern Ireland
Yeah.
and get listed as a possible location,
well, they
a film
do.
location.
Yeah, they do actually film quite a lot in that area. And
yes.
In fact, when we were renovating, they were filming right outside our front doors a period drama called Tom Jones.
Oh, it's
And
great. I've seen it. Love it.
Yeah, so they brought the street right back to the 1700s. They made it a dirt road with horses and carriages and period costumes. It was really, that's the way it would have looked when it was built. So it was incredible.
It's very authentic. So we're going to wrap up because we're running out of time, but this is called a new era of tourism. So in the spirit of all new, there's a new CEO coming on board in September, Alice Mertzeg, I think. So what is it about her background that makes her the right person for the job going forward?
That's a tough question. I wasn't on the interview panel. Alice, well, she has a really strong digital background. She's spent 20 plus years at Google, so I think she's obviously a really good fit. I don't know her, but certainly looking forward to working with her. And I think she's a good fit because Tourism Ireland has always been at the forefront of consumer marketing. We're a consumer marketing agency, digital marketing. We've invested heavily in MarTech, and so she's clearly going to have a really strong background in technology, in data, and we'll be able to ask the right questions and really, I think, work with us to drive our business forward as we really take a closer look at who we're targeting in a more granular way. We want to be really sort of impactful in the way we deliver our global marketing campaigns. So looking forward to September 18th, she joins us, and looking forward to having the opportunity to introduce her to all of our stakeholders and many of you here in New York as soon as her calendar allows.
Yes, I look forward to meeting her, as all of you, I'm sure. So that wraps it up, and thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.